Hello and welcome to Movie Show Plus presents Movies That Made Me. This is a new film series that I've been hosting, and the premise is quite simple. I wanted to get to know some of my favorite people through our shared love of movies. Each time there will be a spotlight guest. That person picks a movie that was very influential to them, whether growing up, in their professional life, or in their adult life. We don't know what the movie is, it's a surprise. We watch the film in theater, and then we follow it up with an interview with the spotlight guest, as well as a Q&A and a special Inside the Actors Studio inspired quiz that I end the show with, called the Santilli Stinger. We recently had our inaugural Movies That Made Me event with my spotlight guest, none other than Detroit Red Wings legend, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, Darren McCarty. He's a personal idol of mine. It was so incredible. The movie that he picked was Gladiator. Big surprise, perhaps. He picked that movie, the Ridley Scott classic from 2000. We watched the film with a live audience. Afterward, I interviewed Darren and went through some questions with the audience, and again ended with that Santilli Stinger questionnaire that I put together. Here is the interview portion of Movies That Made Me with Darren McCarty in its entirety, so you can get an idea as to what this event is all about. How y'all feeling out there? All right. I'm going to say it more than once, but I just want to thank Darren for being here again tonight, sharing his time with us, and sharing that movie with us, dude. What a great pick.
Well, and it's amazing, and I know my friend Amber over there. This is the first time that she said. Was this the first time anybody else has seen this movie? Like, really?
A couple people, yeah. Wow, a lot.
So not only that, but I think that just goes to show, to start it off, is movies, no matter what, are timeless, and if we can share to be able to share this with other people who have seen it before or whatever else. I think this is something cool, and I'm honored that you asked me to do this, Tom.
Yeah, man. So the Movies That Made Me is a series, of course, and if I can share this really quick too, you may or may not remember this, but so what gave me the confidence to approach Darren McCarty and ask him to do this is I walked into a theater once at a screening, and I think you were there as a guest with my friend Greg Russell.
I think we were seeing the Harley Quinn.
The Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey.
I watch everything, right?
Well, yeah, I walk into theater, and here's this guy. I'm not paying attention at first. You know, I'm a huge celebrity in Detroit. No, I'm just kidding. So I walk in, and he says, "Hey, I know who you are." And I turn, and I look over, and it's Darren McCarty. And you must have seen my ego. It must have been visible that my ego was inflating, that you knew who I was, because 2 seconds later you go, I'm like, yeah, I'm Tom, and you go, you're like, I see you on Fox. I'm like, oh really? That's awesome. You're like, hold on, I didn't say I agree with anything you say.
DMAC being DMAC, right? No, I think that's the great part about living in this area or whatever else is that, you know, when you think back, and this is the big thing that I preach with when we're talking to Detroit Red Wings and Steve Yzerman and everything else, but it's culture and it's history. But we also share so many other things. I don't know how many times I've seen you argue on TV or I haven't agreed with, but it doesn't matter because you bring movies. Yeah. You know, to me, it's about, here's an option, right? I don't care if you see it or not, but here's an option. Right. I don't like to be, you know, those psycho thriller whatever things that could be real. No thanks, right? But everything else is fair game.
Well, let me dive right in with the obvious question. You know, what made you? The instruction is open-ended as a movie that is influential to you, and you gave us back a couple movies, and I'll share with people if you don't mind the other movies that you had in your list. Number 3, he had Reservoir Dogs. Number 2 was Snatch. Great movie. Yeah. And the number 1 pick.
Baby.
This was his number 1 film on his list that he submitted to us, Gladiator. What made you choose Gladiator?
And here it is. And I thought, you know, because this is the first movie that I ever watched, and maybe people can relate to this, that I could smell and feel. And for whatever else and anybody believes in, you know, like resurrection or we've been here before. To me, the minute I saw the Coliseum, I like could count the steps and I could smell, like when he picks up the sand and just different things, emotions, and even watching it over again and over again. I mean, I've probably seen this 1,000 times, right? Just the different times in the movie that made me feel, and it just and then the story of. It's the story of like being passionate for something and believing in it, and obviously a little bit of the history aspect, and but it was really the first movie that I ever, and I know I'm not alone. Where there's certain movies that were like, oh my gosh, like this feels too real, and to me that's what this movie, and the best part about that is that not just at a certain point in time, like not in '97 when we're winning cups or '98. No, this resonates to today in relationships and different, being about passion for things. To me, when I watch it back today, it's about you got to have passion for no matter what it is, and that will drive you to manifest your reality in good or bad. And in this sort of love story, revenge story, making things right. To me, Gladiator, and you'll hear this out of my mouth, karma's real, right? Karma's a bitch, and Gladiator is the proof. And to me, it's the way that in my world, the Star Wars is a huge part of my world too. Like we could have gone there, but that's so apropos, right? But the light and the dark. You know what I mean? We all face it, and this movie captures everything, and I think everybody can relate to it in some sort of way.
That's great. I mean, you can definitely. There are some like kind of obvious parallels. When you think of you and what we know of you from the Detroit Red Wings, in seeing this, like I'm picturing when he walks into the Coliseum for the first time and he looks around and there's just fans going nuts everywhere. Like how it must
Joe
feel.
Louis Arena.
Yeah, exactly, Joe Louis.
No, absolutely. Like back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like obviously the being a warrior and protection, and like it wasn't about him surviving. That it was like, how do I protect my brothers when I'm in this? That's a lot of obvious stuff, but I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that a lot of the stuff that really connected with you was like those ideas of like the rebirth and the more of a spiritual connection.
Spiritual connection, and I think we all, the thing about this, and it's great to point it back to my career and parts of the Red Wings. So 26 years ago, March 26, 97, the Sweet Revenge, the turtle, the pummeling, all that stuff.
Anybody familiar with what he's talking about out there?
Okay. Right, yeah, thank you. But it's not even, but we've all been through like beyond that of being betrayed.
Yeah.
Right? And being betrayed by family. Or being, or just certain things, maybe, hopefully, God forbid, to the extent of what we watched.
Yeah.
But just little things that we deal with on a regular, like that's, the family struggles and different things like that, and right and wrong, and just about believing in something. And then so there's so many there's so many elements. And you can watch this movie and you can watch clips, but there's so much powerful. I think you can relate at different times. And I don't know. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual. So I take from everything, right? But it's a very spiritual movie in the fact that it's sort of about it's got a lot of Old Testament in it, and it's got a lot of about right and wrong, and it's sacrifice and different things like that. And sometimes it's cool to see it on the screen, and it's so cool to be able to see places that you haven't been, but feel like you've been there. I've never been to Italy. I'm planning on going to Italy, but I swear I've been to Italy. I've been in the Colosseum before. I mean, I can just smell it, like even to this day.
And I could be way off here, so this is just my movie critic brain working too. But so in preparation for this too, I went out and I bought your autobiography, Last Fight. I read it. Yeah. It was awesome. Anybody who is interested in knowing more about Darren's life, he wrote a book, dude.
Well, I wrote it. Here's the thing, a little caveat. Side note. I wrote it 10 years ago. It's called My Last Fight: True Story of a Hockey Rock Star. So much has happened, right? Yeah. So I did the epilogue. I wrote it 10 years ago. I did the epilogue in 2015 in the summer, and I was still drinking then. If anybody knows me, my sobriety date's 11/11/15, so it's almost 8 years sober. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of stuff. Thank you. What I'm trying to say is a lot of things have happened, and it takes too long to write a book. So know what I did. So coming out in a couple months, stay tuned, is I turned the book into a 150-page graphic novel. I was a big Watchmen fan and stuff like this.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
With comic books and cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like with all the different stories and it's
Wow.
it's something that I'm really proud of.
Wow, that's awesome.
But it's also something being able to do that is because I'm able to share these experiences. And I'm at a point now, where I know where I was. I mean, sometimes I didn't know where I was, so I need to be reminded. But I look around here even tonight and being able to do this there's some sort of connection either that I know about because we've met before and we're friends or something like this, like Chris or Amber, or we haven't, but there's a story that we're connected, and that's my journey, right? Is like I know where I was, I want to know where everybody else is, and how can I affect? Like the young lady right here was talking to me before about one of the things that. And I would say this, and anybody who knows me, that if I speak on something, that if you hear me represent it, like Pain Free Life Centers or the Bernstein family, right? You see me on all those commercials, which is crazy to me. Don't tell anybody because I don't want to get kicked off. But it's because it's everything that I believe in, and with them and family, and I love that family, and about Michigan and Detroit and stuff like this, just like with the Pain Free, as I was explaining. So anything that I talk about, I'm involved in, I believe in, and I live it. And I think that that's maybe the connection that maybe I have with Maximus, is that he is who he is, and he tries to be the best version of himself, even though sometimes you got to do some ugly things.
And that's what I was going to refer to, if you don't mind me, if you wanted to share a little bit. So in your book, as we saw in the movie too, Maximus has a father figure that kind of is taken out of his life. You had a close relationship with your grandfather and also your stepdad, both who you talk about in the book, who left too soon. That might have been maybe even a subconscious thing, but I connected that when I saw the movie just tonight. It popped in my head from reading the book.
Yeah, and there's some sort of and it took me, obviously I would tell everybody I knew who DMAC was when I was 6 years old. It took me to 46 to meet Darren McCarty, right? But the whole thing is a lot and so through my experiences, accountability is what I lost when I lost all the male figures in my life. But again, the slave owner,
Proximo.
Yeah, Proximo. He reminds me. He's got some Scotty Bowman in him. He's sort of, that's sort of like. And when Maximus says, "What are you afraid of becoming a good guy?" Because the one thing about Scotty Bowman is there's so many different. We called him Rain Man, not to his face,
yeah, right.
Of course, right? But he was always ahead. And the one thing about Scotty Bowman. Is that he did things. If I compare Scotty Bowman and Mike Babcock, they do the exact same things. But Scotty Bowman, you knew he liked to collect rings, so it was for the team. Yeah. Mike Babcock, it was more my way or the highway. That's my perspective from playing for both. So, I was expecting Proximo to fight a little bit there instead of going down without a fight, but. Yeah, maybe it's just his time. But so there are a lot of, like you said, whether it was Marcus Aurelius as sort of my grandfather and that first male. If anybody knows my story, is I was raised by my grandparents till I was 5 years old when my mom remarried, and that's where I got the adopted McCarty name. So my anybody who knows that my birth name is actually Francotti, so it's actually Italian.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There you go.
There we got.
There you go. So there you go.
In that vein too, again, this is stuff that popped in my head while I was reading the book. Was at one point you said something like your grandfather, he could get through to you in ways other people couldn't. What was it about? What was that? What did he have that was able to get through and get through to you?
I think we use the term nowadays, simplify.
Okay.
So back in the day, we made a kindergarten, right? He made it make sense.
Sure.
One of the things that, couple things that I was raised on: no what ifs, right? You're never allowed to say what if, because if you're gonna say, well, if I would only done this or that, then why didn't you do it, right? So just there's no such what ifs, and you know the other thing was, you know, just be true, and it was like the simpler and the easier the better. Sometimes I try to complicate things. I mean, it's just human nature and stuff. And he was just able to give you that. It's gonna be all right. You know, he never saw him get upset or angry or everything. Everything was always under control, right? And I tried to. He passed away when I was 21 years old, 30 years ago. So, and you know, it's one of those things, and I really relate to is that some of the lessons that you learn, you're like now 30 years later, you go, oh, right?
Yeah, right.
So, it's just more the accountability and simplify, because
Yeah.
the other thing is that we don't need to know the right or wrong. Yeah. We're old enough to figure out morally which way we're going to go. We just need to know the why. And he would always explain the why. And if you tell me why I'm doing something or what, that was the whole with addiction and stuff like this is why my brain thinking this way. So now I know. And some people can relate to that.
When it comes to movies in general, do you have a memory of like first movie you went to, or like when movies became important in your life?
I remember a drive-in movie. What was the Rocky 76?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rocky. Right. That was the first drive-in was Rocky. First movie that I remember like vividly was Empire Strikes Back, just because the guy in the row next to me knew every line and had seen it 100 times. So he was that guy replaying it, but I was like, I think I was like 10 or so it wasn't as annoying to me.
Yeah.
And then this is a memory that, and my stepdad, the prick, did it on purpose. But if you ever been to Universal Studios, and this is back in like 78, 79 after Jaws came out, and they had the mechanical Jaws shark, and the bus comes up, and I literally think I wet myself. Like, never been scared of that mechanical shark. Jaws was the first movie that really freaked me out. Jaws and Sleepaway Camp, those two freaked me out. And The Hitcher. That's it.
Hitcher.
The Hitcher, Sleepaway Camp, and Jaws. They freaked me out.
Oh yeah, tell us more, a little bit more in detail. You mentioned before the movie, you actually, when you first saw Gladiator, was here at the Maple.
Yeah. So I Braveheart and Gladiator I saw here. You know, I used to live in West Bloomfield and drive down here, and it was always, it was always, I always loved this place. And somebody said that they didn't find me as an art person, and you know what? That's not really like. But there's certain movies that, you know, you have to see. You know, so this place is special. So when you said to come back and watch this, I think we watched it in Theater 1.
Okay.
So that's where I saw both the other ones. So the first time I've been in Theater 3 in a long time.
Ideas too that I found interesting in your book. When we talk, we all know that you were, you know, an enforcer and on the grind line, stuff like that. But what was cool about it was the tactical nature of it. Like there was when to fight, when not to fight, who to fight, and also again just picking up parallels from like your hockey career, the kind of gentleman's there was a part in the movie where he's fighting the big gladiator, and the guy's kind of like, it's an honor to be here. We're fighting with you. You know, like you have a story in the book where like somebody like was like, wow, it would be an honor to fight you, Mr. McCarty. Can I do that?
There's as you got older, you know, some of the younger guys, you know, you're my hero growing up. But can we fight?
I have the honor of punching
come on,
you,
kid.
Yeah.
No, but like a lot of it, you know, where you see, and I think you even see too, you know, even the depictions of the war battles or the bigger battles, there's some sort of honor to it, right? So a lot of times in at least back in my day, you know, if the tough guys fought the tough guys, then the skill players would get left alone. You leave my skill guy alone, I'll leave your skill guy alone. That's the beauty. Even the Colorado-Detroit rivalries back in the day, their king Joe Sakic and our king Steve Yzerman, they got left alone on top of the castle, and the peons played in the Coliseum, right, and got to muck it up and stuff like this. But there is a code of honor until that code of honor is broke, and the only time it's ever been broke, right? Like there's little breaks, and that's where you see the league govern themselves, or guys govern themselves. There'll be a cheap shot or something, and somebody does it. The biggest one in history is Lemieux hitting Draper from behind, not apologizing, because if anybody knows, in life and in sports, bad things happen, but you can't lose respect for a fellow human being. And the whole karma, God had to get involved, right? Like seriously, like you can't do March 26th, beat the living crap out of a guy, smash his face against the board, knee him in the head, right? Get 4 minutes for roughing, and score the overtime winner. You can't do that anymore. You'd be suspended for the whole game. But there was a code. Yeah. Back in the day, because what's right is wrong. It reminded me sort of at the end, right, when you have Maximus and fighting Commodus in there, and the head guard guy doesn't let him throw the swords in, right? Yeah, because there's sort of honor of what it's cool. Well, I mean, there's back in the day, if he was that powerful tyrannic king, then this never would have happened. But the fact is, there's sort of still at the nth most, dismay and everything out of line. There is some sort of honor there, and some sort of honor, in the game.
You touched,
at least there used to be.
There used to be. You touched on this a little bit, but what you mentioned how this movie hits us differently in 2023 versus when we may have seen it before. How does it hit you different now? Having seen it tonight, expand on that a little bit more as far as when you first took it in and it first impacted you.
I think just. Sitting here in 2023, knowing, not lying to the person in the mirror, and knowing who Darren McCarty is and what's important to him, and knowing what I've fought for, not only my sobriety, but also to, my best friend, my wife, and different things, and being able to be grateful that your kids have grown and into adults and to be proud of and stuff like this. So things that I fought for that maybe at some point didn't think that I quit, right? I quit on life. And it wasn't like, and anybody who knows me, the deepest part of my addiction, because here's the funny thing. I've been sober every time we won a cup. So we won 4 cups, so it's my fault we don't have 12. But after I retired, between 2009 and 2015, I pretty much was leaving Las Vegas without trying to literally kill myself. But that's how bad it got, and gotten to a point that I was literally probably 5 minutes away from dying, or in organs shutting off, that through the love and support of the medical marijuana and the people that I was educated to get my truth and whatever. Now we're 8 years later. Everybody knows that I'm the biggest proponent for the plant. I make it easy on everybody. I'm either here to answer questions or to fight. So I'm not that guy, because this plant saved my life.
Yeah.
It's given me appreciation. It's given me everything. And I just try to keep moving forward. When I watch movies like this and it resonates to me for different ways, it sort of puts me back in perspective of what's important. Okay. What's important, the people who are important in my life, my message, which is important. The biggest thing, Tom, as I sit here and I say this, I travel around, whether it's the band, the comedy, wrestling, the Red Wings, Woodward's, sports, no matter what I do, I'm a battery and people are my power, right? So I get as much out of this. I'm sucking your energy, guys. I mean, don't think I'm the nicest guy in the world, because I am like an energy vampire, that I will suck all that positive energy, but I hope to leave some with you too. right?
Well,
And
tonight it's reciprocal, man, because we're all getting it from you too.
And so that's what I want everybody who is here, as I look out in the audience, that you chose to spend your evening here with us, and it's something that I chose because it means something to me. Well, you guys all mean something, that's special to me, and I hope you enjoyed, sharing this together.
Thank you, Darren. Why don't we open it up to some questions from people in the audience?
So what's up, dude?
How you doing, brother? What's your name?
Nikki.
Where you from, Nikki?
I am in Ann Arbor these days.
Attaboy.
Originally from Livonia.
I love your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering, what was it like all those years later in Colorado in the alumni game?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Which, by the way, did you enjoy my Mile High salute?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If anybody knows, I'm standing between Chris Chelios and Joey Kosher, and they announced Chelly, and he gets booed. And when they announced me, and I gave them the Mile High salute, and I got what it was like, dude. And this is what I'll always say about the Colorado fans or whatever. They have no problem with me because they know exactly their guy was wrong. And it's sort of like boo, but a respectful boo, right? So I never got it as much as I thought I would, but I think they were scared.
For those that don't know, too, you and Claude Lemieux did a TV thing, right?
I got to let you guys in on something, right? So if you last year for the 25th, not this year, but the year before, last year, 2022, for the 25-year anniversary of March 26, 97, Claude Lemieux and I actually sat down. It's ESPN Unrivaled. They did a series around it, but we sat down. We did an interview. You can find at DarrenMcCarty.com or YouTube or whatever like this. And people want to know how that came about. And I tell everybody, if you know me at all, I don't end my sentences with a period. It's always a ... And it goes back to when Mo Sider, you know who Maurice Sider is, right? The Calder Trophy winner, number 53. Yeah, our next pillar on defense, right? Well, when he was drafted in the first round in 2019 or 20 or whatever, where it was, and I was just, that's cool. This guy, Germany must be the new Sweden. Cool. Stevie knows where to get him. And I looked at who the agent was, and it was Claude Lemieux. And I went, holy. And this was the 23rd year anniversary. So I had 2 years to figure out, because you got to also know that I started doing autographs with Claude, and we've signed that fight photo a bunch of times. But he donates every time he comes into town. He'll donate more than half of the money that he gets back to local charities. People don't know that about him. Well, when I'm there doing autographs and I know that about him, I can't not right, without calling it the way that I see it. So at the end of the day, if you haven't seen the ESPN Unrivaled, I tell you to watch it and make your own conclusion, because that's all it was. I got to this conclusion that, hey, on the ice, if you're on the ice with Claude Lemieux today and you turn your back, you're an idiot. But off the ice, I'll turn my back, right? So, and I think that's what is proven. And again, 25 years later, I think he's learned his lesson. And if you don't believe me, just know that he's still got a lump on his head from where I need him, to remind him every morning when he looks in the mirror not to be stupid.
I saw that on TV, the ESPN thing, and there's a huge part of me that was like, wow, this is awesome. As you get older and you forgive and all these things. But then I still was looking at Claude like this.
Well, you forgive and you don't forget. And remember, you don't forget that over that 96 to 02, greatest rivalry in hockey in my in my opinion. But we won 3 cups, they won 2. 3 beats 2. So I mean, we got the edge. So I mean. Yeah. Thank you. I'm good at math. Math works here too. See, and even in Colorado, the math works.
Does anybody have a question? Did you have another one?
That Vladdy moment. Best part, we won. Oh man.
Absolutely.
Last question, real quick. Who you got winning this year?
You know what? I
listen to Big D Energy on Woodward Sports. He talks about it.
11-1. My sleep, Boston's going to be tough. just because they're clicking. But I really like the Rangers, and I said I got a bet with my partner in the morning, Neil Rule. LA Kings, man, they're built for the playoffs. There goes Edmonton, and at the end of the day, who cares as long as Toronto loses? Because that's when we're back, when Toronto and Detroit are a rivalry.
There you go. Frank?
Yep, go here.
What's up, Frank?
Nothing much.
What's your name?
Frank.
Where are you from?
Yeah, Frank, Farmington Hills.
Farmington Hills.
Big movie fan.
I love it.
Yeah, he's the resident fact checker here at the Maple Theater.
All right.
I'm like the movie rating.
Well, all right, Scotty, let's go.
Yeah, okay, so I have to make a movie quote, and since we saw Gladiator, and I have to ask you this. So, Darren, do you like movies about gladiators?
I do. I absolutely do. And you know what? Speaking about quotes, and I wrote one down because this is the one that's most poignant to me that it came out of this movie, right? What we do in life echoes in eternity.
I like that.
Right? And you know what I take from that? Be nice. Be nice. And sometimes it's hard. But you know what? You don't know what kind of day that other person's having, and I think that's just one of the greatest gifts that God's given me is compassion. Right? And once I learned compassion for myself, it got way better for everybody else. And then think about that, because then what I mean by that is once I started treating myself the way that I should be, with respect and the way that I wanted to carry myself, then I was able to treat everybody that I wanted to treat better. That's just is my journey, and sometimes it takes later in life. It's funny. I got 6 kids, 4 kids of my own, and 2 stepkids, and their ages between 18 and 30. And except for the 30-year-old who I've raised since she was 12, the rest of them learn quicker than I do. Right? Her and I are on the same sort of learning scale, but that's the beauty.
And then one quick follow-up question. Have you ever wanted to meet any of the stars from Gladiator, like Russell Crowe or Joaquin Phoenix, or even Ridley Scott?
Well, you know what, Ridley Scott, you need an extra. You need a guy to
How close were you to Hollywood during your heyday years of the Red Wings?
I think I'm closer now.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think I'm closer now. And and that's those are the things that it's never really thought of. Never really crossed my mind until now getting opportunity to do more commercials and stuff. And I love that stuff. So I mean, it's like one of these things that I always believe that manifest your own reality. If you're passionate about it, and what are you willing to do to get it? But throw it in the universe, right? So I throw it in the universe, and throw it out, whatever, like this, and it seems to work out. I mean, I live my bucket list. My bucket list is different than a lot of other people's, right? Like, I like doing crazy stuff. I like getting thrown through tables.
Yeah,
and
tell me what's going on. Tell people what's going on with your wrestling career. Tell them what's happening.
And that's the one thing that, if you ask me, forget acting, but why wouldn't I have been into wrestling a lot earlier than I have? And I've been such a fan, but if anybody doesn't follow, I was able to Impact Wrestling, which plays on Access TV, I believe, and is a pretty major company across the world. So I ended up getting dumped through a table by Bubba Ray Dudley, Bully Ray, one of the guys that I grew up watching for 25 years, and people think I'm nuts, and I think
that was an honor, like we talked about earlier. It was an honor for you to throw me on a table.
So I have you can ask Amber too, because she goes a lot of the deathmatch, stuff. Is I have this wish that all my favorite deathmatch guys, I want to take their finishers and stuff. So I end up bloody a lot more times. But to anybody who's struggling, my monsters live in my yard, and I feed them, but they're outdoor pets, and then I let them go play. Right, in the ring or whatever, and do that stuff. So it feeds them. It feeds them, because the crazy doesn't go away. Yeah. You just got to figure out what to do with it.
That's great.
Where are you from?
Utica.
I love Utica.
Now you're talking about gladiators, and you're a Detroit Gladiator, but you changed into a goal scorer, and I want to know who influenced you to do that, who helped you the most, did God or Scotty Bowman?
Well, you know what?
That's
I think
in your
there's more
book.
God than Scotty Bowman on that.
A little bit of Shanahan, right?
Bowman ever deked anybody out. I tell everybody, you know, life's about those moments, right? And if you put it out there, if that moment flashes, and it's going to be a flash, but it's for you. If it comes across your palate and you ask for it, it's for you. You have to grasp it. One of the things I always like to tell people, Jim, is that on the grind line, my fellow winger, Kirk Maltby, remember him? He had 50 goals in junior.
Yeah.
Darren McCarty had 55 and won Player of the Year that year. I'm always the best one on the grind line, so I can put the puck in the net. It's all timing. I only beat one guy one-on-one my whole career. Might as well make it for the Stanley Cup clinching goal in 1997 on a one-on-one.
That's right.
That was better than Steve Yzerman's goal against St. Louis. Why? Because at the end of my goal, you got a trophy.
Amen to that.
Did you ever give Wayne Gretzky any goal scoring tips?
No, but I used to shake my head because Draper and Maltby used to abuse him all the time when he played in St. Louis at the end of his career. And I used to go into the piles all the time, you know, with Draper and Maltby, and guys on the other team would go on, oh, how do you play with these guys? You know, stick here, glove here. These guys are such a-holes. And I'd be like, yeah, they are. You should see them off the ice. But they're my a-holes, so now what?
Exactly. Well, thank you, Jim. Time for one more if we have anybody. Do you have a question, sir?
What's up, Chris?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Chris, where are you from?
I'm from God.
There you go.
Okay.
No, I'm from Southfield,
Right on, brother.
just down the street. You and I have known each other for many, many years.
Yeah.
You came out to my fundraiser almost a year ago. A year ago next month.
I would say Joe's.
Mr. Joe's.
Yeah.
To help raise money for a wheelchair van, and I'm very grateful that you came out. You showed a lot of interest or similarities to the movie that we just watched as far as courage and motivation. Have you ever come across anyone else who is physically challenged in some way or another like you've seen me recently?
Well,
that you
you
admire?
you're always a great example, Chris. And if anybody, you know, Chris's work, Joe Louis Arena, you know, if you look at somebody who's you know, I think you might have said this before or whatever. You're only as disabled as you think you are, and you know, obviously the help around, but the impressive thing is always how the people in most need are the ones that want to give help the most, right? So they understand it. So I think it's just, you know, there's so many different ways, like different things to get involved with, and everybody needs help in different ways. So, you know, one of the great things is like I tell everybody in my inner circle is keep the intentions pure, you know, and throw it out there, and it's not on your time, it's sort of, you know, on God's time. But if you keep the intentions pure, then hopefully things will work out. It brings people together, and you know, you can make, you know, great things happen. Like you said, you know, there's one example about, you know, trying to help fundraise to do a van. You know, one of the things that part of you know, the Darren McCarty brand of Grind Time is Operation Valhalla. My right hand man, Nick Antonucci, who's a Army vet. So one of the big things, if you saw at the Red Wings game at the end of the year, we do a golf outing every summer, and the big, you know, the one thing that I always was, if you don't like it, my dad always said, well, then do something about it, right? So we specifically pick a family or whatever and give the money straight to them, like all of the money.
Wow.
Whether right to that person, family, whatever it is.
Wow.
That's important to give back, because along with, you know, there's so many different things to be able to get me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
I mentioned, you know, the love in the cannabis, but it's also to the military spec.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody's not a military spec, because I'm not a military guy. It's the way that things are done. So it's more of a routine and just to get different things in your life. And I think to Chris's point is that believe what you believe and support what you support. You know, the courage and you look at, I think, you know, when Commodus says to Maximus about, oh, you never live in fear or whatever, that's such bullshit. We all have fear. But it's just some of us, like myself, right? And the resonation to the beginning of this movie where you have Maximus Aurelius, and this is one of the things that's so important with me, is because I will go in first ahead of everybody else. Why? Because if you get by me, I'm dead and I don't have to worry about you. I don't want to be coming up, even though I'm last on the ice to make sure everybody's there, I'm going to lead into battle. Because, I mean, if you get by me, I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. So it's my it's my fear. It's not my fear of me getting my ass kicked, me dying, anything like that. It's my fear of any of my guys going first. That's my major life motivation.
If I could speak to that too, real quick though, my mom is physically challenged, and she's the biggest Red Wing fan in the world. She's talk about a survivor and a gladiator. She's lived through 2 brain tumors, brain surgeries that have handicapped her. And she just still keeps thriving. But I learned a whole bunch of new words from her growing up watching the Red Wings.
Oh, and we did that to your mom.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
wasn't me. I was on the grind line. We were supposed to keep them out of the net. She must be talking about not putting the puck in the net. And she must have been pissed off about those late West Coast games.
Yeah. She would throw slippers at the TV, I remember. And I would just I would look at, as a kid, I didn't know what was happening. But I soon learned when Red Wings came on, you just kind of go away, get all the toys out of the room. But man, she couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. But thank you for your question, sir. Darren, if you'll indulge me, this comes to the final part of our night.
Absolutely.
Did you ever watch? You a fan of Inside the Actors Studio?
Oh yeah, James Lipton.
So I'm gonna
come on.
Are we
doing one?
We're gonna do a little bit. It's my modified version.
I like it
for me. But yeah, he always quoted the guy's name's Bernard Pivot. This is a questionnaire that the guy made that he would ask every person during Inside the Actors Studio. I also borrowed a little bit from Stephen Colbert's Colbert questionnaire, and then I added my own little spice into this.
It's the Santilli, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I didn't know what to call it. If anybody has any ideas.
The Santilli strut. Here we go.
The Santilli strut.
Strutting it into the end. All right.
The Santilli stinger. That's
Stinger,
good. The stinger comes at the end of the movie.
It
comes at the end of the thing. There you go.
The Sting. That's another great movie.
The Sting. Oh, that's a great movie.
I know.
By the way, Sting. I thought the soundtrack, and then that brought me back to how great the soundtrack of Gladiator is. Oh yeah.
Anyways, yeah. No, the Gladiator song. Yeah.
Okay, so this is again a mixture of all of these things. It's only 55 questions. I'm just kidding. It's 13 questions. Question number 1 to Darren McCarty. What's your favorite word? Usually Lipton would ask a separate question for the favorite curse word, but we got it all in one right there.
My favorite word is and my second favorite word is bro.
Bro. What's your least favorite word?
Negative.
Who plays you in the movie
Matthew
of your life?
McConaughey. All right. You already know.
He already thought about that.
You already know.
He's been thinking that.
Yeah, he has to have a lifetime role where he can play bongos naked in the yard and actually make it like in the documentary.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I've done that before. All right.
All right, number 4.
I've been thinking about that one for a while, right?
Yeah, that was too quick. I almost didn't get the question out. You had it. Best movie theater candy.
Ooh, okay. Pre-dentures, Milk Duds.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm and I didn't do it tonight because I was behaving myself. But I'm a put a thing of regular M&Ms in your popcorn.
Ooh, okay,
And gummies.
okay. Popcorns and gummies.
Gummies, yeah. Milk Duds were the best until I popped 2 caps on them, and then I
couldn't do it anymore.
I couldn't do it anymore. But I like gummies, and just regular plain M&Ms in your popcorn.
Okay. Question number 5. What's the most used app on your phone?
I'd say now Twitter.
Okay.
Just because I have Darren McCarty 4 on Twitter, I have control of it. I don't have control of any of the other ones. Blue check mark, so that's why that one, because I get to and it's I have the most fun with it.
Okay.
Because it's with all my wrestling friends, and it's either that one or my my WWE wrestling. It's my wrestling game, but it's more like a move set, and it's more like Candy Crush.
Okay.
It's like Candy Crush wrestling game.
Okay. Okay.
It's really cool because you get to see all your best finishers and stuff, and you get jacked it up. Anyways,
This is from Bernard Pivot. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? I mean, you're doing it all. Like you said, you're doing the bucket list, man.
Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If I I'm not a musician, I have a band. I'm not a comedian, I do a comedy tour. I'm not a wrestler, and you find me doing wrestling stuff. There's not much. There's nothing that I don't want to do that I don't. I think that like if I had a choice, and professional golfer.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you good enough? You got a good golf game?
Tour. No, just enough, dude. If I went back
Wasn't a
and
challenge.
trained like when I was younger, I could have made the live tour and made a whole bunch of money on that
Okay,
tour
okay.
back in the day. I would love to, like right now as being over 50 or whatever, I'd love to be a senior PGA Tour guy.
That sounds fun.
And
That's
I'd never have to win, just get to play
Just to
every.
be out there,
tournament.
man.
Yeah.
Be on those courses. What profession would you least like to attempt?
Okay. Craig McCarty owned an air conditioning and refrigeration company growing up. I worked there since I was 8 years old. It was a job you could never quit or get fired from. Hence why I became a professional hockey player. So, air conditioning and refrigeration, no thank you. To this day. But I do know where the thermostat is.
Number 8. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but what's your earliest movie memory?
Yeah, the earliest movie memories in the back of the station wagon. Me and my cousins in
Driving.
Rocky 1. And I don't even remember. Like I just remember being in the back of the car, having a hangout, and there was a boxing movie going on. Didn't really understand it.
Number 9. This might be related, but maybe not. What's the best sports movie of all time?
You know what? You guys are gonna be surprised at this.
Okay.
Jimmy Chitwood, baby, Hoosiers.
Hoosiers. That's a great movie.
Hoosiers.
Gene Hackman is like the man. Dude.
Just and the motivate. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the older so. Yeah, other than the goon, but like, no, the Hoosiers just because of the drama and the act, it really hit me back in the day, and about teamwork, right? So anything when there's a lot of teamwork going on, and so if you know anything about me, is that I don't see color, I don't see race, I don't see religion. You're either an asshole or you're not, right? So I mean, it's one of those things that I grew up in Leamington, Ontario. It's a melting pot.
Yeah.
I think that around here it's a melting pot. I think that that's a great thing, and I think that Indiana, basketball team in a different way had things to overcome. So it was really like when I was younger, it was something that, and everybody wants to be clutch like Jimmy Chitwood, right? I mean, like, give me the ball, right? Are you the person that wants the putt for the win or the loss, or do you want the ball at the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the answer to this one already from talking to you, but Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm a Mandalorian. I don't know if you know that.
A Mandalorian.
I'm a Mandalorian. I absolutely believe that, and I collect other Mandalorian, and we fly different places and stuff like that.
great.
I've always
the way.
been.
Yeah, this
I'm gonna
is
go
the way.
home and watch the finale when we're done here.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. All right. What's a classic or a famous movie that you admit you've never seen?
Well, Well, other than like Casablanca or Gone with the Wind, like old ones.
Never
like
seen
that,
those?
No.
Okay.
But I I've seen Bridge over the River Kwai,
Okay.
Guns of Navarone, stuff like. I like war movies and stuff. I haven't seen. Oh, Wolf of Wall Street.
Never seen it?
No.
Okay.
American Hustle.
Oh wow, these
Or,
are great movies.
Yeah. No. I know they are.
Yeah.
And
There's always a couple.
Inception.
Inception.
Yeah, I
Wow.
haven't seen that. Although, you know what I watched? I came back from Florida this morning. I watched a great movie, and I'm probably gonna go home and watch like number 2. Now you see me.
Oh, Now You See Me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
that was really good.
Go home and watch number 2 now.
All right, we're getting to the deep questions. We're gonna end it with we had 2 deep questions, and then we're gonna let Darren go. What's your definition of the word success?
Success is being able to do what you want. It's about having the power to decide where you spend your time. Time is the greatest gift, and obviously we're losing it as we go. So, how you can spend your time, I always tell everybody, it's who has the power. Can you keep the power? That's one of the biggest things, and I've sacrificed. And it's anybody who knows me. I'm not motivated by money, because obviously, look at my story. I'll give it away. I'll blow it. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a means to an end, right? If you find out what the motivation is, right? So for me, that's a huge thing.
That's great.
Yeah. No, I mean that's. I don't know if I answered that. What was the question again?
How do you define success?
Yeah, success.
you got it.
Success is controlling your own power, controlling where you spend your time.
Yeah.
What time? How you spend your time? People you spend your time with. What you spend your time doing? Because time is the most precious thing. I mean, how many people I've lost 5 friends in the beginning of the year and nobody's been above 50.
Yeah.
You just never know.
My final question, this comes from Colbert. Describe the rest of your life in 5 words. The biggest trick is to make sure it's 5 words, so most people will come out with 4 or 6. It's tough.
Unpredictably entertaining, compassionately, philanthropically remembered.
There you go. Everybody, Darren McCarty. Thanks again, man.
That's
dude.
5
This is,
big
really
words.
cool. Yeah. This is a lot
Thank you. And thank you for everybody for coming out.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to get a picture or anything like that, absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
No, thank you, Tom.